Day 10. We are 10 days in officially, and things are going great. Here's the check-in photo from today. So I'm officially down almost 2 pounds, which is great. In 10 days, by 2 weeks, I want to be down about 2 pounds. I just ate a big meal. I had 234 grams of rice and 3 eggs. It was a little bit lower on the protein end, higher carb, because I'd eaten high protein, low carb for most of the day, and I like to have some of those carbs at the end of the day to fill up my muscle glycogen stores after the evening walk and all that sort of thing. So had that meal, and then I just chugged also 20 ounces of water, which is about a full shaker of water. I was still 189.8. So this morning I was about right at 189, close to 2 pounds, 188.8 I think it was. It's going well. I got all my steps today, got about 10,000 of them. I ran my fastest mile in a long time, which embarrassingly enough was 7:18. I used to be able to run a 5-minute mile, so 7:18 feels slow as molasses. I'm gonna start pushing it a little harder and a little harder every time and try to get back to that 5 to 6 minute mile pace. I feel like if I could bench 315 and run a 6-minute mile, that would be kind of cool. Obviously I'm gonna keep up my squats and deadlifts to a point and just try to keep my back healthy. Speaking of, I was sore again this morning, so I stretched out real well, just did my HIIT cardio, and I did an easy arms workout. Tomorrow's my off day, so I'm gonna go to the gym, do some stretching and mobility in the morning. Just try to keep my joints healthy, try to stretch, keep my muscles healthy, and then I'll probably just walk for like 30 minutes, get a good little chunk of steps done for the day, just something easy, because I've got to drive about 250 miles tomorrow for work, and the time in between that's pretty sedentary, usually sitting or standing in somebody's house. I'm not really being too active, so that's kind of the plan for tomorrow. Now, I know that all of these videos they kind of vary widely depending on what I have time for, how the baby is doing, what the workout was like, if I'm exhausted. All of those are variables, and I kind of am leaving it this raw because the whole point of this, people that are after 30, oh my gosh, see, I'm fried right now. People that are after 30 years old, it's just hard with the job, the kid, keeping the wife happy, doing all, that's not derogatory. I'm just saying that there is an amount of energy that goes into that. But today I want to talk about mental exhaustion, because that is something that comes with most of the big boy jobs, For me particularly, my mental exhaustion comes from, as an occupational therapist, I go see somebody who's had a stroke, somebody who's had a knee or hip replacement, somebody who's had a shoulder replacement. A lot of the time they're in pain, they're scared. Sometimes they have severe cognitive deficits from something like a stroke or a brain injury. And I've got to deal with that and be the energy in the room. I've got to educate the family. I've got to let them know, hey, this is going to be okay. Or if it's not going to be okay, I've got to give that prognosis and say, look, we've been doing this for 8 weeks and we're not making much progress. I think it's about that time to start looking for more help, or start looking at placement in a facility if it's just too much at home for you to care for, and help them come to grips with the fact that after, I'm thinking of someone in particular, if you can't tell, after a stroke, your loved one is never going to be the same when the frontal lobe is affected, or a brain injury. I've seen super abusive spouses after a brain injury, and I've seen it in reverse, where the spouse who's not injured abuses the one who's had the brain injury, because the one who's had the brain injury acts like a child. I remember an instance in the hospital walking in on a woman having an intimate moment with her husband who'd had a brain injury, and he was not enthusiastically consenting to it, and that was tough. So there is a lot of that mental exhaustion that comes with, my job. And I know all of you out there, you've got your own jobs, and mental exhaustion comes in different ways. My dad did everything from construction to cutting firewood, sold filters, had to deal with people that had unreasonable expectations in that one, working hard in the woods all day, cutting and dragging wood and splitting it to the point where, he's 62 years old and his arm doesn't straighten all the way. And just the absolute exhaustion of physical labor is like something I do understand it. I've been there. I've worked in those kind of jobs before. And then when you add to it like the stress of money, and I'm fortunate that I have a good job. I worked my ass off to get myself through college, got a master's degree, and I can work a job where I can say I make a pretty comfortable living. And but not everybody. And I still have the, financial stress of the family. My wife doesn't work. She's at home with the baby. So I can understand the stress of financial issues, believe me. And relating that in to exercise, to staying fit, to getting lean, there's some factors that go into play here. So number one, you have to stick to the exercise because it will help keep you sane. It'll help you regulate your hormones. It'll make your body wants to move. It'll help you feel better. Number two, you got to make sure you get your sleep to the best degree that you can. Now, I don't sleep much. I never have slept much. I've always been a chronic 5 to 6 hour a night sleeper. When I sleep more than that, I feel groggy. Some people are weird. I know I'm weird. But without enough sleep, whatever that number is for you, whether it's 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, when your testosterone as a man, when your testosterone starts to crash, you can work your ass off. You can feel all right, but your results will be nothing. You'll hang on to fat. You won't build muscle. You won't really see progress. And that's something to monitor with yourself. So sleep is really big. Obviously, supplementation is something that, you pay attention to, especially a little more as you get older, get those multivitamins. Medications, kind of come into play when you start thinking about dealing with stress. People, the blood pressure meds, the anxiety meds, all these things. Now, I am not a doctor, and I don't mean this as medical advice as far as whether or not you should take any meds or a certain med or anything like that. But my simple philosophy is the fewer man-made compounds that you take, as long as you can manage all the issues that your body has, the better off you probably are. There's a lot of, especially like anxiety, ADHD, depression, those meds for those particular conditions are linked to polycystic kidney disease in some cases. They're linked to other nasty side effects. Weirdest thing to me is most depression meds, one of their side effects is suicidal ideations. That not all of them, but a lot of them. That is the case. And so knowing the side effects of your drugs can really, really help, just with the mental exhaustion factor, but also, overall with keeping your testosterone levels properly regulated. Something that I go in on a lot is, aging gracefully as a guy. Obviously I'm 31, I'm not old. I don't get to sit here and spew wisdom at people. That's not what I'm trying to do. But I did a deep dive on minoxidil and finasteride that people use to keep their hair, and that murders your test, dude. That's what the pills that, you go to Hims or something like that, or Roman, that's what they're giving you to keep your hair. I would rather lose my hair because the mechanism by which finasteride works is essentially blocking your body from properly utilizing testosterone. One of the effects of testosterone over time is making you lose your hair. That happens to guys. And if you block that effect of testosterone, you're essentially going to be blocking all the effects of testosterone, including being able to, have an erection, being able to build muscle properly, having the deep voice, being able to regulate your hormones. In some cases, even being able to be fertile at all and have, another kid. So all of that kind of ties together, when you start thinking about the mental exhaustion factor of being a man over 30 years old trying to get in shape. And that's a lot to think about, but the meds that people use to manage things like anxiety, depression, ADHD, all this. I have ADHD, and I will not touch the meds. Personally, that's my choice. But just be aware of how that affects you, and obviously there's psychological side effects of the drugs too. That's just the blatant one. So always look for alternatives. Look for redundancies that you can eliminate. Get your sleep. Maybe get your workout before you go to work if at all possible, because you will be able to put more effort into it. You'll feel better for the day, and it helps you be a little more consistent. Like I am way more consistent with not only my time, but the quality of my workouts now that I've switched back to early mornings. I was working on the afternoon for a while, and it didn't work for me. I was always tired. I felt like garbage. I was taking caffeine in my pre-workout way too close to bedtime, and I just felt terrible. So maybe there's some tips there that can help somebody. If that was helpful, please give a thumbs up, subscribe, share it if you think you know somebody that could have been helpful for. The whole point of this journey is just to be tell you the things I'm thinking, be expository about what I'm doing, and just try to show you, this is how I'm trying to lose weight and not even lose weight, just lose body fat. Maybe you can do it too. So I'll see you guys tomorrow for that off day mobility and all of that sort of thing. Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.